Hey guys, Captain Arby here, what is up? This video marks the start of a new series called 100 Days in Minecraft. You may have heard of the 100 Days Challenge from other YouTubers such as LD Shadow Lady, Syntac, and Charlie Barley. The goal of the series is to defeat the game by killing the Ender Dragon within the 100 days. Hope you guys enjoy. As I spawned into the world for the first time and looked around, I quickly realized that I was surrounded by spruce and only spruce forest. I quickly got to work chopping down my first few trees, crafting a crafting table, and making my first set of wooden tools. I ended up stumbling upon some berry bushes and started picking a bunch of them, not knowing when the next time I'd be able to find some actual food would be, and I also found some sheep, which I quickly absolutely demolished. While running around, I spotted a rock flat, ran over, and decided to upgrade my tools from the wood ones that I had made previously to some stone ones, and then immediately got to work harvesting the iron and the coal that I found in the area. Once I was satisfied with the amount of coal I found, I hunted down the last sheep I needed to make a bed and grabbed some more berries, getting pricked in the process, which was not fun. I then began my search for a place to settle down and make my home for the next 100 days. As the sun began to set and I considered making a hole just to keep myself safe for the night, I finally found a little plateau that I would be able to call my own, scoped it out for a second, and decided to place my stuff down and call it mine. Making my bed and placing it down, I made some torches and lit up the area so that hopefully, even if I went to bed a little late, nothing would come and beat the shit out of me. And thus ended night 1 of 100. On the morning of day 2, I quickly got to work clearing out the area of its trees, which took way too long, and as I scaled the tall spruce tree that was making up the majority of the area, I honestly thought that it would take forever. I thought that this tree was never ending, and it was legitimately the most annoying thing I think I've ever done. If I could not do this again, ever, I would. Once I finally made it to the top of the tree, I looked around and realized it really was just spruce surrounding me, which kinda fucking sucked. As I made my way back down the tree, I saw an azalea tree off in the distance and knew I'd have to go investigate later on. But for now, I set aside that thought and decided to start laying out the groundwork for the house now that the trees were out of the way, and started putting the logs down for each of the corners of the house. Once the layout was finished, I started mining out some andesite for andesite bricks and stone bricks for the flooring, and once I got back to the house, I started working on the actual flooring itself, which consisted of the Tetris method I've mentioned before, which is just a sort of easier way for my brain to comprehend placing random blocks. As I finished the flooring, I encountered a mob and got my first mob kill of the game. On the morning of day 4, I got to work filling in the walls of the house with spruce planks, and I made sure to leave a bunch of gaps for windows. I made sure that the gaps were a little bit bigger than I intended the actual windows to be because I wanted to leave quote-unquote windowsills with spruce staircases, and I also left a doorway with and also an extra space for a staircase as well. The windowsills and the staircase on the door just added a little bit more depth. I finished off the floor of the house with the stone bricks that I had planned, lit up the room with some torches, and moved all of my stuff from outside into the inside of the house so that I'd be at least a little bit more safe for the night. On day 5, I started in on a staircase up to the second floor. I made this out of stone brick stairs. I thought about interchanging it with andesite stone bricks, but I decided against that. Once I got to the second floor, I also completed the same exact pattern as downstairs with the same exact blocks. Towards the end of day 5, I went on a little scavenger hunt for some sand for the windows, terraformed the world a little bit in the process, and ended up getting 12 pieces of sand so that I could make some glass panes to also add just a little bit more depth to the windows. What can I say? I'm obsessed with depth. On the way back to the house, I ended up spotting a sunken ship, and I made the mental note to come back to that the next morning, even though I really wanted to visit it that night. On day 6, I quickly made a spruce boat, far too excited to do anything else, and hopped out the window and decided to head over to the shipwreck I had seen the night before, with really not much to defend myself if a drowned or anything else had come around to kill me. Diving down into the first chest, I found the first diamond of the series, a bunch of iron in both nug and ingot form, some gold, and 2 bottles of enchanting. In the second chest, I found a buried treasure map, some paper, and some books, so not that that great, but I was excited to look at the buried treasure map, and I also found some food, both rotten and good, in the last chest. Once I got back to the house, I placed down a double chest, threw the rest of my stuff into the chest, used the bottles of enchanting, and checked out the buried treasure map to see if it was anywhere remotely nearby, and I was really sad to find out that it was not. I would have to leave that for another day. Now that I had both wheat seeds and potatoes, I decided to clear out an area for a farm, clearing down another tree, and setting to work on planting the crops that I had found. Once the crops were planted, I started organizing the chests I had so that I could keep some sort of system going, and it made me a little bit happier just to have a little bit of a system, even though it still was a little bit cramped in some of the chests. On the morning of day 7, I started to mine down next to the house, and by the time I realized that I'd completely forgotten about the azalea tree, it was already too late, and I was pretty far down, so I started making my way back up and decided to start to mine over toward the azalea tree. I started a circular pattern underneath the azalea tree and didn't make it super far the first night, but I did find some iron in the process, which was pretty nice. Day 7, I did not make it into the lush cave, sadly, which was pretty bummer, but I was hopeful. Day 8, I finally broke through into the lush cave, dropped down, and made a staircase so that I would have a easy way out in case of danger, and I ended up spotting my first axolotl, which I was really excited about. I knew I would definitely have to bring that bad boy back to the surface. I started collecting some moss blocks, moss carpet, and azalea bushes so that I could decorate the area surrounding my house before I started heading back up and decorating the area with the blocks I had found. Once I was back topside, I picked an area and started digging out so that I would have a designated spot for a pond for the axolotl I had found. Once it was all dug out, I started filling it out with water, and then I realized it was probably a bit too shallow for them to have any fun, so I dug it out even more and made it a 2-deep little pond. On day 9, I headed down and looked for the axolotl and ended up finding a yellow one in place of the brown one I had seen the day before, which made me a little bit confused, but I wasn't going to complain, it was still an axolotl. I brought my new little buddy back up to the surface, decorated the edges of his new little home, and then headed back down into the cave to scale the wall that was directly across from the staircase I had made, spotting a underground lake filled with ores, mobs, and some cute glow squids that were very likely to murder themselves, as one does. Just past the lake, I found more mobs and more ores, and I quickly got to work mining a bunch of the ores so that I could finally upgrade my stone tools to iron and make myself a set of armor, which I had been lacking. During a run-in with a creeper and a skeleton, the skeleton kindly killed the creeper for me, and I got my first music disc of the series, hopefully not the last, and I noticed that it was Strad. I'm not a person to know much about music discs, but I was really hoping it was a good one. Once I made it back topside, I made my armor and went to bed on day 9. Day 10, I went into the underground lake and mined the first diamonds in the lush cave, which was a lot more difficult than it should have been, before making a little bridge to get a spore blossom to further decorate my home with. I had previously spotted another brown axolotl, and yet again, it had been replaced with a yellow one, and I was starting to question whether or not these axolotls were beginning to change colors on me. Not that I was still going to question or complain, but I brought him with me nonetheless on a little excursion down to the bottom of the lush cave. I lit up the bottom of the lush cave and started to mine up some ores at the bottom, getting some more diamonds, and just in general lighting up the area for more safety, and getting a total of 11 diamonds in my day 11 haul. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. If you want to check out the Chaos Live, go check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/CaptainArby24. Have a fantastic day, night, afternoon, what have you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.